Hi, my name is Garth. I'm with the Create Room design team. And today we're going to go through the instructions on how to build your SewStation. And I have Yvonne here with me today to help me. And before you start, you'll need to decide whether to build it on the left-hand side of your dream box or the right-hand side of your dream box. That is if you have the dream box that this is going to be matching up to. Yvonne, do you want to explain the difference?
Yeah, I chose to have my SewStation on the left side of my dream box, where I would have the long table on the side that would connect to the dream box, because I'm not a big quilter or making big draperies or things like that, where I would need that table on the left side. I prefer just having it there so all my things are on the right side. And so you decide which side you want to have yours on. If you want it to be on this side of your dream box, then the long table would be on the left. The other thing you'll need to be thinking about is if you have a sewing machine with a knee lift, where your knee pushes to the side to either make the presser foot come up, or it pushes to the side to sew for you. If you have that and you want that option, you need to make sure that when you build it, that you put the spool holder on the left side. So those are the two little tricks.
So today we're going to be building the SewStation on the left-hand side. And the first thing you want to do is get your instructions and lay out all your hardware. And the first thing you'll gather up are your two tracks. And you'll notice that there are three pieces to this track. There's an outer track, an intermediate, and an inner track. And to disconnect the inner track from the intermediate, you'll find a black lever, and you simply push down and pull out. And just lay that aside, and we'll get to those in a moment after we work on these following three panels. You'll want to get out your side 1, side 2, and your back panel. You'll find in your hardware kit 37 connecting bolts, and on side 1 you'll place 4 connecting bolts on the left side, in the left side configuration on the illustration, illustration. And you'll do the same on side 2. And you'll take 4 and you'll place them in the back of the sewing bag. The next step is to put the sewing top on the same blanket you're working with the other panels, and take your instructions and then adjust the sewing top table in the orientation of the left configuration. And you'll notice to do that you'll need to see the hinge holes on the top, 3 sets of hinge holes, and you'll put the connecting bolts in this orientation. There'll be 7 of them, 2 on the top, 2 in the middle, and 2 on the bottom. So for a right configuration, what you want to do is just step over with the same orientation, with your 3 sets of hinge holes on the right side, and you'll start placing your connecting bolts on the opposite side. The next step is that you want to get side 2 and face that down and get your guide spaces. You'll get 4 of them from a hardware kit. You'll see the holes that are pre-drilled for you, and you'll take 8 of these Euro screws and screw them in. When you're using an electric drill in this step, just make sure that you don't over-screw it, that you strip the plastic. Yeah, the best way is to pre-screw them in the plastic and then put them on top. So what we've done is put the guide spaces on. These are going to hold the rails for your spool holder. Now if you do have a knee lift on your sewing machine, this is the side that you want to put the rails on. The next step is to grab the outer track and put it on top of the guide spaces. And you'll notice you'll want to open it up, and you'll want to find the second tab, the middle hole, and that's where you'll want to put your Euro screw and screw it in. The next step is to open it up to find the second hole. And get a Euro screw and drill it in. And you want to do the same for the bottom. Okay, you'll notice the 3 built-in cams on the back, and you'll want to slide those onto the connecting bolts, and you'll grab your Phillips screwdriver, and you'll notice that it'll go in at an angle. Once you feel it slot in, just do a turn, and that'll lock in. Next step is to take the sewing side 1 and slide it on to the right side in this following orientation into these 5 connecting cams, and then tighten. Next is to do the same with side 2. You'll slide the 5 connecting bolts to the connecting cams, and you'll turn them. Next you want to find your angle brackets with screws. You'll find 4 of these, as well as 16 5/8 of an inch screws, and you'll screw them in these 4 locations on the back of the sewing station. You want to take your sewing base and find your connecting bolts in these 6 locations. Slide up and get your screwdriver and screw them in. Next step is to grab your white magnetic catch, and on the left side you'll want to locate the holes and grab 2 screws that come in the packet and screw in. You can adjust it, and right now you can just semi-tighten it so that you can do final adjustments once you put the main magnetic catch on the door side. Next step is to find the door hinges, and you'll notice that there's a mounting plate and a door hinge. What we're going to do now is put the mounting plates in these locations with the short side in the front. What we're going to be doing here is make sure that we put the mounting plates on side 1, opposite side of the rails. Next step is you're going to take the sewing side table, and you're going to find the hinge hole sets on the sewing tabletop, and connect them up. In this step you want to use your Euro screws. After you've screwed in the hinges, what you want to do is grab the catch. This is the silver barrel lock catch, and you'll use this if you're going to connect it to the table on the green box. In this bag you'll find 2 Euro screws that you'll want to use with this catch. What we want to do next is install the legs on the side table. And what you want to do is open it up, and then you'll notice that there are 2 hinge hole sets, and there are 2 hole sets for the table legs, and you want to use the one that's opposite the catch.
Hi, Garth.
So you'll notice that this table leg has a lock position, and to unlock it all you need to do is to make sure you push that out in order for it to close underneath the table. In order to keep this leg locked underneath the table, all you need to do is to take the catch and just lift that up just a little bit above the leg, and you'll notice that it locks automatically. We'll get 4 of the locking wheels before we flip it onto its top. You'll notice that there are 2 holes on these locking wheels. There's a larger one and a smaller one. What you'll want to do is make sure the larger hole is on the outside, and take your screw and match it up and line it up with the small hole, and then tighten. And you'll notice it coming through on the other side. And this will lock it in place. The other 4 to complete. The next step, we want to put this on its wheels, and so what you want to do is grab the side table and the back table at the same time, and then rotate it to the side while holding the tables. And the last step would just be to lift it up. Okay. What we're going to do next is assemble the sew lifter machine. To do that, you're going to grab the center section, the left arm, the right arm, and what we want to do is attach the bolts and the washers and these bearings to the front 2 holes first. And how you do that is, first we have would be your bolt, this is your washer, this is your bearing, and this is your lock nut. And you're going to find the front hole. Okay, yeah, that one should fit in. First we're going to put the bolt in, and then you're going to find the washer. You'll notice there are 2 sides to this washer. There's a flat side and a roundy silver shiny side. The silver shiny side you want facing out, and you're going to be placing the bearing next to that. And the reason for that is you want to make sure that this wheel is free flowing once you put the lock nut on and tighten. And you'll notice on this lock nut there's a blue washer on the outside, and you want to make sure that's on the outside because that's what will tighten. You'll take 2 1/2-inch wrenches and tighten. Once that's done, just make sure that this bearing is turning, and you can just test it with your finger. And then we'll do the bottom. This bolt doesn't freely fall in. Just get your wrench and just turn it until it's flush with the edge. Okay, you'll notice this center lifter bar is loose, and while you're installing, what we suggest is just getting a piece of tape and just taping it to the top plate just to keep in place so that it can keep out the way. The next step is that you're going to take the center section and you're going to slide it in to the back of this center lifter bar. Once this is lined up with this plastic center piece here, we're going to put the bolts and the washers on the back and secure them. Next step is to take 2 1/2-inch screws, and you'll notice that there are 2 holes where you're going to be screwing this in, and you're going to be screwing this into the plastic. There are 2 little pilot holes in the plastic that you already see that should line up, and you're going to self drill these screws into the plastic. What we're going to do next is install the sewing lifter machine, and we're going to put that on top of the base. You'll notice that there are 8 holes here. For the left configuration, what we want to do is make sure that the 2 holes in the plates are matching up with the far right holes in the base and on the back. Once you install that, you'll see an extra set on the left hand side. Then go ahead and get your 1/2-inch screws and screw them in. What we want to do here is screw in using a 1/2 inch into the back. Okay, and next we'll get the lift control mechanism, and we'll want to screw that underneath the tabletop. And you'll be placing these on the opposite side of the rails. And if you look underneath the tabletop, you'll see some pilot holes where those to be attached. Once you've screwed in the lift control switch, go ahead and power it in, and you'll notice that there's a receiving end on the left hand side here. And then attach the plastic clips, and these are going to hold your cords out the way. Just make sure that your power cord is not in the way of the lifter, and you can use the pilot hole next to it just to secure it in place. The last step is just to connect the power supply to the motor and just match up the prongs. What do you call these?
That's good.
You can just lock it in place with the cover and then plug it in and test. There maybe we can show. What you're going to do next is lift up the machine arms all the way to the top, and then we're going to put these rubber pads in the 6 holes before we put on the table shelf to screw on from underneath. You'll notice that there are 6 pilot holes on the bottom of this lift top, and what you're going to do is just place those on top. And what we'll do next is take your 1/2-inch screws and screw them from the bottom up. So what we want to do is just find those holes. Hold the top and screw in. What we're going to do here is put the spool shelf assembly together, and what we're going to do is get your connecting bolts. You're going to place 14 in this layout with your side 1, side 2, your back, your base, and your shelf on the top. And just put your connecting bolts in, and then we will attach them. Next we want to attach the spool back to the base and just line it up with the locking cam and tighten. This is side 2. Side 1. Slide in and lock in place. The last piece you'll use is the stool shelf. Just place that on top and lock in. What we're going to do now is install this spool drawer section, and what you want to do is place these inner guides on the back of the spool drawer section. You want to make sure this is the top where your handle will go, as it will slide in to the right hand side of your SewStation. You'll notice that there's some pilot holes, and what you want to do is make sure you line that up with the holes, and there will be 4 holes that will show themselves before you use the draw glide screws to screw in. You'll also want to make sure that you use the closed section is facing the front and the open section is on the back. And then go ahead and screw these in with a drill. Here we're going to install the knob with screw. And we'll just get the screw out. Place in the hole from the back, and then simply screw together. What I do in this section is to lift the spool drawer up and match the inner draw glide with the middle draw glide, and insert slowly, making sure that the top and bottom are engaged. Okay, one of the last things we need to do is put the doors together, and you'll notice that there are 2 pieces. There's a door with pull and there's a door with hinges section. The first we're going to work on is the door with hinges. You're going to take the 270 hinges, you'll see there's a cutout, and what you want to do is just place the hinge inside that cutout and install with 2 screws that are provided. Little pro tip here on the door hinge side, what I do here is take these 4 hinges and just attach these before moving any forward. What we want to do here is take the door hinge and match it up with the hinge mounting plate. So just line it up with the top and the bottom, and you can use your foot as kind of a rest. You'll notice that when the hinge is clipped into the mounting plate, everything will be flush. We're going to take the door section, which has the hand pull. We're going to attach the wheel on the bottom of the base, and just check your instructions if you have a left or right hand attachment. You'll also notice this wheel has a little lock nut, and you can use it for adjustment depending on how high your floor is from the door. You can adjust it. It has an adjustable height. Last section is we'll add a magnetic strike plate when you close the door, and you'll just install that at this point. When attaching these two doors, what we suggest is getting a second person to help, just to match it up while you get your Euro screws and screw together. Okay, what you want to do is just make sure your strike plate is connecting with the white magnetic catch on this side. And what you can do, if it's not quite catching, you can adjust it. You can pull it out a little bit just to make sure that there's engagement when you close the door. In this section we're going to show you how to install a shelf. And this will be on the left hand side. You'll notice there's 3 sets of holes that you'll use. And here are the pieces that you need to be aware of. There's a middle support shelf, and there's also a left and right locking mechanism that will work with these shelf supports. First thing you want to do is take the 3 supports, and you'll notice that there is some writing on the back of this shelf support where it says back, and there's an arrow. And what you want to do, wherever the back is facing, is where you want to install this. Okay, back arrow here. Yeah, there you go. Okay. You'll line up the shelf. You want to make sure that the front finish section is showing the white edge band towards the front. Now, in order to lock it, this will be on your left side, so you'll take the left locking mechanism and you'll install it. So you'll lock it, putting it, and then the right one, you'll do the same here. This is the spool shelf, and simply to install it, you'll take these pegs and install it from behind, and simply just push in. You can get like a little hammer, or just use your fingers to push it in. And you'll want to do all the sections that are open. Install, what you'll do is you'll get the shelf supports, you'll get 4 of them, and simply put them at an angle. One on the top, and one on the bottom. Once you have those shelf supports installed, the angle that you're looking for, simply just insert and slide back.